Hey, howdy and hello, folks. Welcome back into T1A. Going through another rookie mock here. A little post combine, post free agency. See what kind of stuff we can get into here.
Welcome into another episode of T1A, everybody. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We got new episodes coming out. Tank Teaches, Glasses Mike, plus our weekly edition. Don't forget to hit the like button. That way the algorithm likes us. More people can see us. That's why we're doing this kind of shit. Help people out. Like Tony said, we got a mock draft going on today. This is post-combine, post-free agency, or at least the first kind of big wave of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of other landing spots for free agents. That'll kind of modal things up a little bit again, of course. And then we're all just getting ready for the draft. Pro days hitting hard right now. I've had a few of those already happen. A couple of big ones still to happen. Those will change some things too. But for right now, we're doing the same thing basically we did with the last one. This is going to be based off of talent because we don't know landing spots yet. And I believe that in this class, with so many people so close and such large tiers and such big drops in tiers, landing spots are going to be huge this year into getting production onto your fantasy teams. We started off the last one with Tank picking the number one pick, me picking 1-2. We jumped the gun, switched it around a little bit. Me at the 1-1, Tank at the 1-2, and we just got it done, man. Right? No reason to be messing around. Bijan Robinson at the 101. Let's not fool around with it. Yeah, don't be screwing around. Don't be picking a quarterback here, even though everybody, super flex, quarterback reigns all. Look, Bijan Robinson, if you need an equivalent, Jonathan Taylor, when Jonathan Taylor hit after his second year, he was going for 3 first plus. That's the kind of value you're going to get back on Bijan. You could get that in the first 6 weeks with Bijan on a team. So don't mess around with it. If you're a rebuild team, he's a perfect pick. If you are a contending team and you somehow ended up with the 101, he is just going to help you go win another chip.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a great point before when we were chatting. If you're retooling, you could sell him. If you're rebuilding, just put him in your running back one spot. He's a guy that's going to be there for years. He's 20 years old. You're going to have plenty of time where he could just solidify your RB1 and you can just move on to other positions.
Yeah, you get 6 years of Bijan production, right? Or he's just sitting there, and believe me, you're going to get suitors for this guy in your leagues. People are going to throw draft picks, players, all kinds of stuff at you. You're gonna have your pick of what you want to do there.
Absolutely. So we'll move on to this other fun stuff. We could talk about Bijan all day.
He's awesome.
I am going to come down and grab CJ Stroud.
Monster change from our last one.
Make all those Ohio State fans happy from our last one to this one.
Yeah.
What this came down to for me, I think Stroud and Young have very similar passing capabilities. I think Young might end up in a better passing ability, just better receivers and things around him. But for me, Stroud might be the only weapon, especially if he goes to the Panthers. So goal line, just a few extra touches, trying to get those goal line conversions. I think that's where he just adds that little bit more value. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to be putting big pieces around him. So.
Yeah, 5'10", 204. You're not going to be sneaking Bryce Young in. I don't exactly off the top of my head know CJ Stroud's size, 6'3", 215. That's a guy that can push.
Yep.
I could see that as a splitter.
Well, and I looked up something like, okay, so Bryce is a smaller guy. Who else do we kind of view as a smaller guy? Drew Brees. Drew Brees was 2 inches taller and about 15 pounds heavier.
Yeah. And Drew still had to do that. That thing had to do look like this. It looked like just so he could see downfield. And he was just peering over the top of linemen. Bryce won't even be able to do that and see.
Yeah, be up on the tiptoe.
I like how you brought up weapons that are going to be around these guys. We basically right now know Stroud or Young are going 1-2. So if Stroud ends up in Carolina, there's not a whole lot around him. Terrence Marshall's there, yes. They just signed Miles Sanders. Okay, sure. Nothing else really going on there, and that team is in monster need of weapons. It is rebuilding. It's going to suck.
And so they lost this first and next year's first.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot on the horizon for this team. They could pick Bryce Young too. I know that a lot of people are talking that it is Stroud, but who knows? Let's not throw out that this could also be Anthony Richardson. Like we don't know that it couldn't be. I'm just saying
No,
he could have shown enough. Teams could fall in love with him. I heard he killed it in the interviews, so we don't know. But to me, it's Stroud. And then of course we know the Texans. They are probably going quarterback. Feels pretty much like they are. And
yeah,
I think it's going to be Bryce Young. And so I will also take Bryce Young here at the 103. 5'10, 204 measurables at the combine. I believe we brought this up or did we even have those measurables last time? No, we
yeah.
brought this up in some other thing. Anyway, Bryce Young, teeny. Like he's a small dude, but he's a baller. And I talked about this last time that we talked about Young. I'm going to take the guy that can play football above the guy that has shown just straight up athleticism. You could put Anthony Richardson at the 102 and then take these quarterbacks. I mean, it's a gamble, but the upside is there. I'm going to take the guy who showed out at Alabama, who's going to end up on a decent Texans team. I mean, they showed some offensive prowess last year. Damian Pierce being there, Nico Collins being there. They just traded away Brandon Cooks. I don't believe they brought in much else so far, but they will bring in weapons for this young quarterback here. So, and they'll do it in this draft. So you're going
So
to get a good look.
in the hyperbole that Stroud goes to the Panthers, Young goes to the Texans, I still think the Texans currently have better pass catchers and talent around him than what Stroud would be going to in the Panthers. So it'd be more him just pulling games out to try to win, try to do something. And that's why I think we just have these 1-2 and 1-3 in the order we have.
Yeah, they're pretty interchangeable, I think.
Yeah.
Just really is going to depend on where they land at. But right now, I don't disagree with Tony taking Stroud ahead of Young. I said it last time, the kid, he threw the ball so good at the combine that it was that impressive that we moved him from the 105 in our last draft to the 102 in this draft and have no problem with it.
I think we just keep going here with quarterbacks. We've talked about this. Athletic quarterbacks do equal fantasy points, but I think it's just got to curb your expectation that he's just going to jump onto your roster and save your squad.
Yeah, if anybody's thinking that they're going to draft Richardson and then plug him into their quarterback too and just ride into the sunset, that's probably not going to happen. There's a good chance where he doesn't even play year one.
Yeah.
If he does go somewhere year one and he's going to be the starter, that honestly kind of scares me a little bit too, because now he's going to get thrust into a crappy team because he's going to probably get picked early. He's going to struggle. He's going to have a tough time developing, and even then still has the ability, possesses the athletic ability to give you Lamar seasons because this guy is that good on the ground.
Yeah.
So the upside is there. It's crazy. He could end up being the best value player in this entire draft just because of the position he plays and what he brings to that position with his athletic ability. I don't think it's a bad pick here at all. There are going to be leagues you are in this year where Richardson will end up going the number one overall pick, and it'll blow my mind.
That's a little too much for me, but
yeah.
I usually compare a lot of Anthony Richardson stuff to RG3. I don't think he's quite Lamar in all of his abilities. I really think that he just doesn't have that game-winning drive, accuracy, like fight. He hasn't at least shown it in what I've seen for film. Where you go back to Louisville stuff, Lamar is driving that team down the field. And I think that's just going to be what separates him from being an elite quarterback at the next level for Anthony Richardson versus Lamar. And so he just needs that year to develop the accuracy. So teams can't just key on his running.
Yeah, it'll be if he can learn how to read a defense, play on anticipation,
and manipulate it just a little bit.
Be able to manipulate defenses a little bit. I still think that he, just on pure athleticism, could probably come in and like be a decent starter. I just don't. I think it would hurt his development. Would love to see him go somewhere where he sits behind a seasoned vet. Nobody that like the Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith thing, right? Like Alex Smith is a good enough quarterback that he can get you to a Super Bowl, and that team is good.
Who just was coming off a good year too.
Yeah. The sad thing is I don't think that's going to happen for Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's going to tumble down outside of the top 10 Somebody's going to trade up to get him. At worst case, if somebody doesn't just pick him outright. And so he's going to go somewhere shitty, and that kind of sucks. But he'll be exciting to watch. And if I'm picking Anthony Richardson at the 104, I'm not going to be bummed about that. I'm going to be okay about it.
Yeah. So 105, where are you going to go?
So here's where things to me start getting a little, I don't know. I don't want to say confusing, but they get muddled up. We were talking before the recording here that, it really depends on where your team's at. If you are a rebuilding team that is on the cusp, and that is why you're picking at 105 in your draft, you're close there. You need a running back. It's Gibbs right here. If you are a team that is, a little bit further off, running backs aren't going to help you right now. I'm going with one of the wide receivers. If I'm picking the wide receiver, it's JSN. Jumping it. It's JSN. And I'm going to pick JSN here as is, just based on talent, longevity, and he's actually going to be able to take his size. He doesn't have a size question. Like everybody knows he's a slot wide receiver. He has the
one of the very few in this draft without the size question.
Yeah. So, and everybody knows what he's going to do. And he came in at the combine and just put up elite numbers in all agility and burst scores. He just showcased exactly what the NFL knew he was going to be. He didn't run the 40. I think everybody knows he didn't run the 40 because he was probably going to run like a 4.5 or something like that. We'll still probably get a look at that on a pro day. Honestly, the way he played it, I still wouldn't run it on the pro day. I'm like, I'll run it. When I get to training camp, I'll show you how fast I am, and we can go from there.
I've got game speed. Don't worry about what my measurables are.
He may not be the first wide receiver taken off the board in the real draft, but he's going to be the first wide receiver for me taken off in my rookie drafts. I think he's going to get drafted somewhere. Like we're all talking about, landing spots and whatnot, but I think he ends up somewhere with the NFL already knowing what he is and what he's going to bring to a team, that somebody's not going to bring him in and be like, you have to be our wide receiver outside 2 guy. You're going to have to go out there and play every down and be out there.
Yeah, you're not going to have to come in to be the number 1 dominant X out of the outside.
Yeah, they know they're drafting an elite slot wide receiver. That may push him down into the late first, even second round pick. Hell, I don't know where he's going to end up, but he's a damn good talent. But I think where he gets drafted at will be productive. That's why I think he's going to be my wide receiver 1. So that's where I'm at with it.
I think I have a lot of comparisons between him, Olave, Devonta. It's what you're getting, and they're dominant at what they do. So why change it or why expect anything different when they're just going to come in and be great at the position that they're at?
Yeah, shows as an outlier. And, like you brought up Devonta, Olave, those guys. Like last year, Olave was a one-trick pony. Everybody thought he was just a deep guy. Yeah.
Which he showed that, and he was able to perform on that and then develop his abilities.
Right, exactly. So I think that's kind of where JSN is going to be at. Like, what he's going to be. Team's going to draft him to be that. What a monster jump. What a monster jump. Stroud now at 102. He was picked at 105. JSN at 105. And when we picked him in the last one, he was 109.
Yeah.
So combine helped those guys out a lot in our eyes. Clearly.
Absolutely. For me, I think I still like the value of Levis already starting to drop. I don't think I can pull the trigger on him yet. Jahmyr Gibbs being PPR, I think I let this slide to the 1-6 and be very happy. Borderline contending team likely, at the 1-6. Not a very highly coveted, like, oh man, I need to go get the 1-6 from that guy. So a lot of people don't usually trade out of the 1-6. So I think this is a good high upside guy to get that you can throw in your flex possibly year 1.
I love Gibbs. Like, he looked really good on film. He's a guy that you can line up out in the slot. You can actually run wide receiver routes as running back. That's huge, especially when we're talking like mismatches in the backfield, motion him out, just like the Niners do with CMC a lot. Things I did not like about Gibbs is I just didn't see that. I didn't see the elite vision, and maybe I'm just not watching enough film on him or what. I don't know, but it seemed like he was just getting what he got. He got tackled by the first guy that got to him. His size bugs me a little bit.
Contact and down.
Yeah, but like you're saying, he's got great hands. He can run routes. He's a guy that he is talented. I'm just having a tough time like getting on the train. Like the more and more I watch tape and compare him with other running backs in this class, the more and more guys get closer and closer to him as the running back 2 in this class.
Well, if you go back and look through a lot of his highlights, his best rushing highlights were before he got to Alabama.
Yeah, when he was at Georgia.
Yep.
Or no, not just
Georgia
Georgia.
Tech.
Yeah, Georgia Tech. I want to make. Yeah, I got to make sure we get the Georgia Tech part in.
But that's to me, that's where you see a lot of his rushing. That's where he's going through the tackles. He's off the edge. Okay vision. I mean, he's got to have a pretty decent sized hole for him to hit it, but then he hits it at breakneck speed.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I have not done enough homework on Gibbs. I've kind of just taken the overall community consensus on him. Yeah. And so like going to look at him, I think maybe I had higher expectations, right? Like show me Reggie Bush.
Well, and we have so many people that we're in leagues with that are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for Gibbs.
Yeah.
I just don't see that in film.
Yeah, it didn't pop for me like that. I will admit, though, I do need to watch more tape, so don't just blow us up in the comments, any Alabama fans.
No, please blow us up.
Don't fucking give me a bunch of bullshit. Let's get on with this.
All right.
So I might catch a little bit of shit here, but this is just kind of where I've put it at, and I'll explain it. But I'm going QJ here, Quentin Johnston. Now, the reason I think I'm going to catch a little flag on this is one, maybe from you a little bit, because I know you're an Addison guy. I think Addison's your number one still.
Yep.
My only knock on Addison is his size and the situation I think he's going to end up in the NFL. He is undersized in the NFL to be up against NFL cornerbacks. He did show out at Pitt, and then he went and played at USC, and he showed out in USC. And that's good. Like, he's got the college production to back him up. He's got the young breakout age. He's a route tactician. He's a great route runner. I'm not going to pull that away from him. But if you're going to tell me that Jordan Addison is going to line up on the outside play after play against NFL cornerbacks because the team drafts him in a position where they have to put him there, and I don't know that they're not going to do that. I think he's a great slot guy that plays outside every once in a while. I don't know if team's going to do that right now with him. So with those question marks, I'm going to take the guy who I know already has the size, know he has the speed, know he has the quick twitch, and know that he can go up and catch contested balls. We've talked before about this. He's not exactly a hand catching guy. Likes to catch balls with his body a lot.
He's not a 50-50 ball guy as much as his size indicates he should be.
Right, but he still shows that he can do it.
Yeah.
Right, and he can get coached at in the NFL. Right, he had a late breakout age. He wasn't exactly like tearing it up for the past 3 years. Like that broke out this year. And I just think he has the prototypical size, the prototypical speed. The one downfall for him will be if a team does draft him and he is their number one wide receiver, I think he's going to struggle a little bit. But with good coaching, he's got all the tools. I think he's a great player. I'm going to take him right here.
I think with Quentin Johnston, he probably is the most likely the first wide receiver drafted.
Yeah,
just because of what you're saying. I think it's the third or fourth guy that we don't have the size concern for.
Mm-hmm.
He's still very fast, and he shows he can go over the middle. He can go long. He's just not as definitive in route ability as JSN or Addison, but I think he's still going to be a great player.
He reminds me a lot of Brandon Marshall, but Brandon Marshall had way better hands.
Yeah.
Right. But Brandon Marshall didn't come in the league with like elite hands. It was a couple years later, and he showed like he built that. And I think Johnston could do that.
We look at DK. He came in strong and fast, and
very limited route tree.
Takes time to develop some of those things.
I think he's a dog.
Good athletes. Quentin Johnston is a good athlete, and he's going to develop. I just want to say thank you, letting Addison slide down to me here at the 1-8. What I've said all along is I think he needs a year with an elite wide receiver to show him what he's missing.
God, I don't even think he needs an elite wide receiver. If he ended up in a position,
it doesn't have to be elite, but I think if he's got somebody that can that not necessarily take him along and be like, hey, this is what you do, but just show him out on the field.
Adam Thielen. A guy like Adam Thielen.
Oh, yeah.
That's if he's got a guy like Adam Thielen across from him. Yeah. Like I said, my only concerns with him are that size. That kind of freaked me out a little bit on him. Watch his pro day, see what comes from that, see if he runs a better 40, which I don't really have a whole lot of concern about the 40. He did show he's got game speed. Landing spot is going to be huge. Addison could go from where he's at right now, where I picked 2 wide receivers ahead of him. If Addison lands in a really good spot, it will quickly move him above the other 2 wide receivers. That's how close all these guys are to me. It is nitpicky. at this point in the wide receivers for me. I'm up right now, aren't I?
You are up, sir. How long will Levis slide?
I think I got to end the slide on Levis now just because of positional value. We know he's going to get, at least he's projected to get first round draft capital. If Kenny Pickett is going to be a hype guy and get picked around in this area in most drafts last year, and Will Levis comes out, gets
And he
more
was the
draft
only
capital.
quarterback.
Yeah, and Levis comes out and gets first round draft capital. I don't care if he goes somewhere junky. What he's going to bring in the upside is the same thing we were talking about Anthony Richardson. It's not even Anthony Richardson light. It's like Anthony Richardson in Stephen King's movie Thinner, right? But at the end, and that's what Will Levis is. He looked like garbage throwing the football. It scared the hell out of me watching him throw the ball. It was ugly. I mean, he could not repeat a throw.
It seemed like he was flexing while he was trying to throw, and not that he was trying to push the ball, but he's trying to make sure he had the zip on there.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was a very fluid throwing motion. But you're right. Every throw was very line drive, very zip, very there, and maybe he was doing that because that's how he is the most accurate. Right? When you try to put a little touch on something and not just fully go at it, sometimes you'll overcompensate and throw like shit. I think that's maybe what he was doing, but he did not look good throwing the football. But he did show out in college and being able to get outside of the pocket, extend plays, run the ball, and can keep drives moving. I think that is where he's going to end up. This guy's a perfect candidate. There's no way I cannot see a team drafting him and then saying, go start for us. He's not ready to do that, I don't think. So wherever he does end up at, there's been a lot of talk still of him ending up in Las Vegas, which I think would be great. Just a couple years behind Jimmy G, maybe 1 year. I don't know, but yeah, that's a really good spot for him to stop.
What if he went to Indy?
If he's in Indy as the starting quarterback, I would be so.
Well, they have Gardner.
Still, I don't think it's Gardner's show for a year while Levis sits. If that was their plan, I think they would have went out and gotten somebody better than that. I think Indy, now the way things have shaken out with Carolina moving up to the 1, and so now you're definitely like, okay, we're going quarterback here, 1-1-1-2 in the real NFL draft, and that puts Indy in a really tough spot. They could go Anthony Richardson, or they could go Will Levis. If they draft Will Levis that early, though, that's fucking crazy to me. He's just not, to me, he's just not that guy. Yeah. He just really isn't.
All right, let's keep this moving along here. 110. This is kind of that turning point in the draft where you go for your guy that you like, the running back you like, the tight end you like, the wide receiver you like. This is where the draft capital really starts to take play on where they go and position on depth chart.
Yeah, this will be where a lot of decisions are made, is when the draft's happening. A lot of guys are going to re-slot.
Do you reach way down here and get your favorite tight end of the class? No.
Did you scroll down to Kincaid?
Yeah, I did. So I'm going to grab Charbonnet here. I've said this before. He's good everywhere, all over the field. He's okay at blocking, which, some running backs come in are just terrible. He's good in the passing. He's got an okay route tree. He's got good hands, good vision, good burst, good cut, good ability to play through a tackle. And the team trusted him on third down short and goal line and short. That says a lot to me going into the NFL, because he's got those abilities and some size going in.
Yeah, I like Charbonnet. I'm really growing on him, or he's really growing on me, I should say. Watching some film on him, and I've been watching like the top 4 or 5 guys that we have right now and kind of comparing them all together. Charbonnet shows really good vision, shows an ability to see the play happening ahead of him, see where the linebackers are second level, and then get to the safeties and put a little punishment on him. He's got some size to him. I think I was talking out of my ass last time we talked about him. He's actually got really good hands. It's just he never really got it all that well showcased, but he actually is pretty good at getting out in the open field, running a route and catching the ball cleanly with his hands. Okay, right, so I've got another fucking tough choice here. I'm always a big guy on, if there's a running back that you like that you're not going to get back around. Yeah, this might be the spot where you're just like, I'm going to fucking grab this guy, because running backs are at such a high demand that teams will start ripping them off the board if the wide receivers in this draft continue to disappoint like they did in the combine, these running backs are all going to jump them. It's just going to change the value turn. What we thought was going to be running backs in the later second to now a bunch of wide receivers in the later second. God, it's so tough. You know what?
I'm not even highlighting a player here because I have no clue where you're going.
You know what? We talked about it. Maybe I'm jumped on the hype train right now, but I'm going to go ahead and start it. I'm going to plant my flag like I did last year on Dameon Pierce, and I'm going to plant my flag on Kendre Miller at a TCU this year.
Big dog.
This is strictly, like, I don't know if this was video fatigue or what, but I watched Gibbs, I watched Charbonnet, I watched A-Chain. The last guy I watched was Kendre Miller. And of the first guys I watched, it was kind of what I expected. Like I said, Gibbs he didn't pop off like I thought he was going to. Charbonnet kind of showed me what I thought I was going to see anyway. And A-Chain showed the same thing I thought I was going to see anyway, but his size concern is starting to really play on me, and I don't really want to put him up here. So Kendre Miller, when I watched him, he looks like Marshawn Little, like little tiny Marshawn Lynch, just fucking running out there. It's not like you
fantastic.
said it, the little bully. He's not like a bully, right? Like he's not plowing through guys. He's not just stiff arming dudes off of him. It's these little tiny cuts he makes, right? And they're a lot like
Sets
Marshawn
up his
Lynch.
blockers fantastically.
Yeah, it's not a jump cut. It's like a very wide step cut that just totally
or a hip drop.
It just moves him a yard and a half to the side, and he's got his blocker lined up, or he's got a guy missing a tackle. He showed great at TCU. Shows he's got goal line capabilities with 17 touchdowns. What's funny about this is when we were first talking about this, you brought up Kendre Miller, I think in the second round, and I said, I don't know anything about that guy. But then I started ripping off stats because I had read something about him. Finally watched some film on Kendre Miller. Holy crap, I'm a fan. I'll take him late first, and if it's going to come back around to me at 211, I bet you the way this draft's going right now, I'm going to get a look at another wide receiver, so I'm okay taking the running back I want now rather than waiting to see what running back I might get at 211.
I think the biggest thing that you brought up was his ability to come in and potentially be a third or a 3-down running back. He's got the skills to cover for a second down, short yardage. He can catch. He's got good vision. He sets up his block to get him the extra yards. We were watching the film just a little bit before. Like, he's just falling over the first down marker almost repeatedly. Like, okay, he's down 5 yards short. Nope, stumbling. And okay, he's got the first down. Like,
yeah, always pushing. It's a good player.
To me, having that little extra fight in the running back gets you just that couple extra yards every time they carry, which adds up in their stats, which adds up for your fantasy points.
One thing I don't know about Miller is his pass blocking capabilities. If that holds him back, I don't know. It may, if I could do a little research on it.
Another thing they can develop, but
yeah,
I mean, if he's got the ability to catch and get short yardage, that's something that they'll probably focus on right away.
He's got the size for it, at least. Give him that.
All right, so 112. There is a guy that I think I want to grab. I think he's just the wide receiver that I have rated the highest left on the board.
I like Zay Flowers.
I like him a lot. Just seeing everything that he did at the combine looked good, looked fluid, and the comparisons I brought up with him and Josh Downs, like they hurt each other being next to each other because they both just looked good, and they needed somebody to be not as good near them.
Yeah, they're both good players, just showed out. It's like if one guy's doing really good and the other guy's doing really good, then it's one thing. But if one guy's doing really good and then one guy shits the bed in that drill and then they flip it back around and the guy that shit the bed does well, it's just back and forth. It's hard for both of them to shine. But they both tested well. They both look really good running routes. Josh Downs in comparison, like the guy's contested catch rate, like going over the middle, it's like an 86% catch rate going over the middle and being contested. Like, how can you argue that with a guy?
Yeah, and for a guy his size, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Zay Flowers brings the same type of playmaking ability. He's really good against the sidelines for a guy his size. He's just able to position his body well, make really good sideline catches.
All right, we are going to power through this second round here.
Yeah, let's
try to knock him out.
We'll announce the pick, say a little bit about what we think, and then just kind of slam through this thing.
Rotate over. Okay, so you're up 201.
All right, so I am going to stop at the tight end slide here. I'm going to go Michael Mayer. There you go, bud. It's just a lot of questions with the guys that are here, right? It's a bunch of, I'll just take whatever the hell I can get later on in this round with the running backs, same with whatever the wide receivers that are left here. The one quarterback in Hendon Hooker, nobody's really like, we don't really know where he's going to end up at. So I'm going to go with currently the top rated tight end by the NFL standards, maybe fantasy standards. Hell, we don't know, but he is all around damn good. He did nothing but get better year after year at Notre Dame, which to me says he's a guy that can learn. He's a guy that can be coached, which might take that 3-year window of tight ends actually turning out and being productive and shorten it for you.
He is one of the few tight ends I see as absolutely startable his first day in the NFL.
Exactly. And he might shit the bed. We don't know. Right? First year.
Well, fantasy-wise, he could be okay, but, I mean, he's going to get playtime, and that's big, especially if you're trying to rely on that tight end.
Hopefully he's productive, but I'll take him right here.
So the guy I thought about at 112, I'm going to go ahead and grab now, and that's A-Chain. He's going to be second-round running back. I'm looking for guys that I can throw in my flex spot and have some big games. They're going to have a few big plays here and there, maybe score a touchdown. And I think he's just got that home run ability, not every play. And if you have that expectation for a guy that size in the NFL, it's just not as likely. But you said Kendra is going to be, the light version of Marshawn Lynch or Marshawn Little. That was fantastic. I think A-Chain is a not as gifted Chris Johnson. Yeah. So speed, fast. You get him in some space, he's just going to shred some teams apart. But you get him some contact, he's not as much of a bully, much of a bouncing ball. A little bit of contact, and he usually goes down.
Yeah, what I like about A-Chain is that with one play, he could set you up with RB2 numbers for the week. And if you're getting that guy and he's your flex running back, you're not relying on him as an RB1 or RB2, that's not too bad to have.
Well, my favorite thing to look at, too, if you're looking for a guy that's just a dart throw, so how many fantasy points in PPR is a 60-yard touchdown? 13.
That's 12.
One for PPR, 6 for yards, 6 for touchdown.
Whatever, fine.
That's a decent flex for a week.
Potential low-end RB2 number.
Yeah.
13 for the week. I like it. This next pick I got here sucks.
That will be in Tanks Teaches Fantasy Math next week.
Yeah. Right on. Can't wait. This next one sucks because there's a lot of running backs here. There's wide receivers. I'm going to catch a fucking shitload of flack for this. But I don't care. I'm going to write it. Yeah. Booty. I'm going to take Keyshawn Booty right here. I still think
I was actually joking, but
I know he tested like shit, right? I get it. But he's still a football player. He still showed out. He was playing in the SEC with LSU. He's still a fucking good player. He's still got good size, measured out well. And I'm still right now on the train that I will take him at these points in drafts. I believe it was a little bit earlier in the last one. I got to take a peek here and see. Oh, yeah, hell, I took him at 110 the last one. Yeah. So, of course, his testing, that dropped him down. And if he continues to get hits taken, like if he has a pro day that's just garbage, if he ends up getting shitty draft capital and lands somewhere junk, then of course he's going to move down because I can continue to get the value. I still think he's a good guy that I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
I think if he comes out and craps the bed at his pro day, he's going to fall down into this like 210 range.
He could get into the third round. He could fall where people don't even want to take a chance on him.
Yep.
I'll be the guy that's, just so everybody knows, I'll be the guy that's taking him a little bit earlier. Just pushing that board up.
All right. Let's work this 204. I think this is just where I feel, the running backs are so dependent on where they're going to go.
And they're all the same. Like all these guys are the same.
I'm going to just stay with the wide receiver talent. Yeah. You're looking to rebuild, looking to just build your value in your roster. That's where those wide receivers are going to get you that fast return.
Yeah, start getting young wide receivers. I mean, if you're a rebuild team, that's always the best place to start. Wide receivers, quarterbacks. So if you've already taken your quarterbacks at the beginning of this draft here and you're getting the second round, I think dart throws on wide receivers are probably better, especially if you have a muddled running back group like what we're looking at right now.
Like if I was the true 1-4 manager, or I got 1-4-2-4, and I've got A-Rich and Josh Downs, like I'm ready. I'll be okay next year.
Yeah, I'm going to be okay with that. I would love to give you the honor of taking your guy right here, but fuck you. I'm picking Dalton Kincaid right here. This is another tight end. I think that from day one, depending on where he lands at, could be a guy that you have in your starting tight end spot. Tight end premium league, getting a young tight end. Shelf life for these guys is insane. I think picking Dalton Kincaid mid-second, maybe before anybody really starts thinking where his actual value is just kind of smart. Don't wait to try to get him at value. If it's just a couple picks, pick him. He could be the next Travis Kelce, which is saying a lot. But he plays a hell of a lot like him if he ends up in a good spot. This could be a steal, and you just locked in your tight end spot for the next 14 years, whatever the hell it would be.
Bastard. I don't need to say any more on Kincaid. I've already had enough videos where I've drooled all over him.
Keep it coming.
Let's go ahead and move. Let's keep this thing popping and humming here. Kind of torn between these top three here. I just think the way that Hyatt showed out on his combine stuff, disappointed just a little bit. Just he had opportunity to really show off like his receiving ability, and just kind of showed what he did during the season his last year, where he had some drops and he had some great big plays, and it's just not enough for me to move yet. So I think I'm going to take one of the more NFL ready backs and Tank Bigsby, and be happy that he's going to get some first and second down work and see if he develops into more.
To touch on Hyatt just real quick, that dude had to run a 4.2 at the combine or his shit was going to slip. And so
and catch all the deep balls, which he did not.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm on him. I like Tank Bigsby. I think he's going to be a good NFL running back. I don't think he'll end up being like a full-time guy, but considering we're at in the draft, you're probably not getting those guys. And considering where the NFL is, we talk about this all the time. It's a committee everywhere. So you want to get the best talent in the better committees without knowing where he lands. I think he's got the good talent. I think it's a good pick. I'm not going to go Hyatt here. I'm not going to go Hyatt here at all because I agree. I think once he ran a 4.4, whatever the hell it was, he just took himself out of contention of being where he was at. I'm going to continue going with value picks here because I like being in the second round and I like picking value guys. Rarely do you pull starters or big contributors out of here. So I'm going to go for the guys that, if they do hit, are going to bring me back the most rather than the guys that are going to bring me back minimum on my second round pick. And I'm going to go Hendon Hooker here.
Bastard.
Get the quarterback out of
I was hoping he dropped one more spot.
Get the quarterback out of there. Again, here I am picking guys a little bit early. Booty, Kincaid, Hooker. That's fine for me. I'm in the second round, and I don't really like the talent that's sitting there, and I don't know the return I'm going to get. I'm going to take the shot on the guys that, hey, if he hits a little bit, the hype train alone is going to get me more than what I'm going to get off of some of these other guys that are there. So I'll take the quarterback, longer shelf life, like I was saying with the tight end too. Same with Booty as a risky pick, quote unquote. They have longer shelf lives, right? So I'm not taking my risk on running backs that could fade out in a year, and then I'm just stuck there going, damn, wasted that second round pick. I'd rather waste this gamble on somebody who could hold value for longer.
Yeah. And I think where he's getting knocked so much is people think he's ancient. He's 25, 26 coming into the league. It's not that old. I mean, if a guy comes into the league after his senior year and sits a year, it's about the same age.
Yeah. If
he's got a little bit of rushing ability, he just didn't get to show anything at the combine. So recency bias says all these other quarterbacks are nice and flashy. And
yeah, there's a reason that Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman are highly touted in NFL drafts right now, and it's not just because they're really good wide receivers. It's because Hendon Hooker was able to get the ball to them so they could show out as good wide receivers.
I'm going to have to follow trend here and just get guys that I think are going to exponentially change their value if they hit. And
I really like the way this is going.
I'm going to take Tyjae Spears.
I really like the way this draft's going. I do.
And 4.4, whatever, speed, decent size. Let's see his player card here. 5'11", 195, a little on the light side, but still got some good height. Can add more to his frame still as he becomes a pro. Just another good all-around runner from a small school, so going to have some time to develop, but very much second year, third year. Could be very, very much like a Khalil Herbert, where you're just waiting for the guy in front of him to move so you can have some value that you picked up in the late second round.
Yep. Landing spots are going to depend a lot with these guys. And the reason I said, so I like the way this draft's going because right now we've kind of gone away from in the first draft we did where we didn't really have anything to go off of and we were just picking off like talent, what we saw in college and, what numbers we did have on these guys. And now we've gotten into this next draft And we went through the first round. You know, we matched up talent. I believe if you went back through and looked at our top 9 or 10 picks, I'm looking at it right now. We're pretty damn close. I mean, there's a couple guys in there that got moved pretty significantly in JSN and Stroud, and a couple of guys that got fell out of the first round. But what I want to get to is that I like that what we're doing now is we're actually showing like a strategy level to this, and you really have to be thinking about this when you're in your drafts. Is the elite talent comes off the board in every rookie draft damn near after like the first 8 picks, right? And even then I'm pushing it, right? 8, 10 picks, and even then like I said, I'm pushing it. So once you start getting into these later first and all your second round picks, understanding the guys you're picking, you're drafting for value, not to fill your roster. And that took me a long time to learn, which is why I'm bringing it up. I always wanted to fill my roster. Like, I need a running back, so I'm going to take this running back.
I need this certain wide receiver to fall to me here so I can get that filled up.
Yeah, exactly. So don't go into it like that. Kind of heed what we're saying here. Look at your draft board for values also. Yes, there are times when it's like, man, I am just barren at running back. And I have 3 picks in the second round. I'm just going to rip off 3 running backs. I don't give a shit. I'm probably not missing on really any major talent if you're willing to do it anyway. So yeah, that's fine. But when you're making these picks, understand that these could be trade candidates. So who are the guys that potentially get me the most back in return of my investment?
Something I've been trying to look at this year as I'm getting into players is what does it take to get a 2-9 right now? You know, what kind of player are you having to trade? Okay, now looking at your draft, you're coming down here at the 2-9, which you're still up on the clock for this. But are you getting a guy that could have some little home run ability where he can catch some big touchdowns, get some hype, and then you can move him and get more? So you're moving this lower in second for a higher in second next year, or a late first.
Yeah, or a player that you actually like somebody in your league. This guy that you're picking in the second round pops off for 2 games or starts getting some hype train built behind him, and it's finally the piece to be like, all right, I can offer this up to this guy because I know he likes him, and then I can go get the guy I want and that I like, and you can go pick him. You know, it's just about adding value. To keep with adding value, and you're gonna love this one too. I'm gonna pick Darnell Washington here.
Bastard.
Absolute fucking physical beast at the
sniped
combine.
Me twice in
fucking
this round.
Huge. He's going to be a good blocker, probably another day 1 starter for an NFL team. How productive he'll be is left to be questioned.
I still say he's a Raider.
Potentially, yeah. It's a perfect fucking fit. And so yeah, him, Darnell Washington, there, good day 1 starter, nothing but value to obtain, especially if you're playing in super flex tight end premium leagues. He's a great value pick right there.
All right. I think the fall of this guy's gone far enough. He doesn't do great in contact, but he's just got great speed, great hands, and could be something very fun to see in the NFL level.
Yeah, I need to do more homework on Zach Evans, more film watch, because I'm basing all of my look at him on numbers and not like actual seeing him play. So I need to do more on that. But from what I see on the numbers, good solid running back, always falling forward. Like you said, his contact numbers aren't that good.
He's going to be the big chunk guy that you're looking to hope he has some big plays to help you out.
Definitely. This might surprise some people, but it's not going to surprise me because I had Cedric Tillman above Jalen Hyatt to start the year. And I think it was just a matter of who was open and how coverage was, is why Hyatt outperformed Tillman this year in college. Nice. I like it. So I'll take Tillman here. I think he's just a better all around wide receiver. He's not a 1-trick pony. I think he'll see.
I think it's his injuries that held him out the last part of the year that really hurt his draft capital.
Definitely.
And I think that's what kind of hurt him in the combine as well, as he's still recovering. He's still going through that stuff.
Yeah.
That process. Took Hyatt here at the wrap up the 212. I think it's just going to be, the value that falls, take it where it's at. Draft capital could definitely change that. He goes in the second, he stays here. If he goes down to like a day or a round 3 in the NFL, he drops into the 3rd round in drafts for me as well.
Yeah, I like the home run potential of Hyatt. I just, I think he's like a Marquise Brown type of guy, and it'll be interesting to see how well he adapts into the NFL, if he can actually change his game up a little bit and fit in. Awesome. Good draft. Hugely different from our last draft. looking at what is left on the board, third round is going to be stricken with guys that we are going to want to take chances on. Dart throws on. There's a lot of good running backs in here.
Absolutely.
Still some good wide receivers to take some chances on. It's going to depend on what your flavor is, man. You like strawberry? You like vanilla? You like chocolate? You like them all together?
Neapolitan.
Yeah.
I want it all.
So things to take away from this draft, I feel the first round, as far as the talent, is starting to definitely separate itself, where we're going to know what the top 6, 9, 10-ish guys are in the tops of drafts mostly. That'll give us a good idea of who it is we want to start doing homework on in our value picks getting in the second round. The running backs got way more spread out this go round. So again, it's going to happen again too when we get through the real NFL draft. As pro days happen, these guys are going to start separating themselves. So don't lock yourselves in, guys. As we always say, be like water.
Yeah, especially if you're picking outside the 101 to 103, just wait, because you never know how things are going to fall and what's going to happen. But I think those first 3 are kind of locked in for me.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun rookie draft year because a lot of guys are going to draw lines in the sand on players, and they're going to draft them ahead of where you think they should go. So if you are sitting in the later first round, unless you have a guy that you are just balls out on and you want to go up and get him and move from there, just chill where you're at, right? Accumulate some of these later first, some of these second round picks. I think it's a smart move this year to position yourself there to accumulate a lot of these value guys are going to fall this year. We'll have Tank Teaches should come out this week too. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then look for the next episode of Glasses Mike. Still wait for comments on the other one for my next episode, because honestly, I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do. Ooh, light bulb, just as I said it. Ooh. I should do some homework on some of these running backs. I do some tape work on these guys and pull out. That's what we're going to do.
The mid-round, the second round running backs as we view them in rookie drafts.
Yeah, all the guys. So that's what we're going to do. Next Glasses Mike will be, who do I think is the actual RB2 in this draft, and what do I think of the other running backs in the draft? If you have guys you want to hear about, make sure they're like second, third round rookie draft guys, right? Dart throw guys.
Not Jahmyr Gibbs. We already know.
I already know. Drop a comment.
I already know about Bijan.
Yeah, drop a comment down in, and I'll give you a little credit there in Glasses Mike that you brought it up, and we'll talk about it. All right.
Let's hit it.
I think we're good. Let's get the fuck out of here.